All right, guys, I know that we are in spring break this week, the 1st through the 5th. So this video attends your announcement text for the week. So go ahead and you're looking at it now. Very good. And understand what is on tap for this week. I know it's spring break, so you will have, just get these assignments completed by Sunday the 7th, and we'll be good. It is some readings. The final reading for our fiction unit in backpack literature, that is Ursula K. Le Guin's Those Who Walk Away from Omelas. That is in the Chapter 7 symbol chapter of our book. And then I have a sampling of poetry. Okay, we're not really going to get to as many poems as I'd like because we need to start. You need to start getting kind of geared up for your final paper on Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. But I do have a nice little sampling of various different genres and forms of poems. Okay, so go ahead and look at the announcement this week. It tells you which poems to read and which questions to do. I think I only assign one question per poem. Okay, so you have the story to read, you have those poems to read, and the questions that I have outlined on the announcement for the week, and that's it. You turned in your Virginia Woolf essays. I will get those back to you this week. This is the second week of the 2-week grading period. You turned them in last week, so I will get those back to you this week. And then I will tell you that we have our Edgar Allan Poe paper to do. That'll be due next week, at the end of next week, and that is on Annabel Lee. Okay, so read the announcement for this week. I give you guys a little bit of background on the poem and what Poe is trying to do in that poem, and his message that is delivered in the poem, and what is he talking about, the nature of everlasting love. Okay. Why is that important to him, and how does that play out in Annabel Lee, the poem itself? Okay, so not a bad idea to read that poem. Now, I will tell you that it's probably a little easier to grapple with than the Virginia Woolf short story. Okay, more of a straightforward story in this poem. The themes are probably a little more apprehendable and able to be fully realized and digested by you, the reader, I will venture to say. So go ahead and read that. Read the poems for the week. And any other backlogged assignments, I'm going to be returning back to you if there are any floating out there still. Primarily, though, I'm going to be concerned on working on those papers, the Virginia Woolf essays, because those are due back to you by this week. No blog this week. We had one last week. What else? Oh, remember, guys, last week I had sent out to Miss Evans, and I think I emailed this to all of you, a production of Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. So you could watch the entire play performed by the Shakespearean Acting Company, performed at the Globe Theatre in London, England. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That's a treat right there. Okay, so if you're having trouble reading the sort of 16th century vernacular, the dialect, the syntax, if you will, then I think watching it performed, I mean, plays really are meant to be performed. That's why they're plays. That's why they're pieces of drama. You could read them and appreciate them on the one hand, but having it acted out before you lifts it up to a completely different level. I remember my wife and I went to, when we lived in the Atlanta area, we went to the Shakespeare Tavern in town, and we saw a couple of Shakespeare plays. We saw, let's see, it was Hamlet and As You Like It. So one a tragedy and one a comedy/romance. And, you get it on a completely different level once you see the actors fully engaged, fully immersed, and seeing it with an audience too is certainly helps the whole vibe and feel, and the pleasure of witnessing the play with everybody. That's not to say you guys have to get together and watch this together, but I leave it to Miss Evans' discretion if she wants to maybe show the play to you guys, or the pivotal scene that we're looking at, Act 2, Scene 1. She can do that, but you guys do have the play, that link that I have sent out to all of you. You need to read the play, okay, and you need to start thinking about how you might want to attack this paper. By the way, speaking of attacking the paper, the instructions are now up, okay, for the final paper. That isn't due until early May, so still a month out. But it's a good idea now to start doing some preliminary research in Galileo. Start answering the topic question that I have for you guys. You'll see it in the instructions sheet there, okay? Point being, don't let this paper get away from you, okay? As we wind up in the last month, your mind's going to be on finishing school and all that. So I want you guys to be kind of procedural and methodical about how you go about actually allocating time for yourself to do all these things, because a research paper is time intensive. It does require you to act in a step-by-step fashion, okay? Forming a tentative thesis, maybe even an outline, a rough draft, okay? The research, digesting your research, annotating, underlining your research, incorporating your research into the text of your paper. How are you going to transition in between what you have to say into what your sources are saying? How are you in dialogue with your sources, okay? So this is all a bit of preview. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. We are just now getting into April. We'll do what we have to do this week. We have our poems. We have our last story. We have a paper due next week on Edgar Allan Poe's Annabel Lee. And then we're going to start to get into Christopher Marlowe, Dr. Faustus Ville, if you will. Okay, so keep it all in mind, all laid out before you in a panoramic here, the final month of class. Okay, so that is all for me. I hope you guys are able to have an enjoyable yet productive week at the same time. Knock out the few assignments that you have. Won't take you very long, and then you could enjoy your break. Okay? All right, guys. A short and sweet one this week in honor of spring break. So I will sign off and say, have a good one. See you next week. Bye.